Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is James Duff Merritt, and I want to welcome you to the K-Sam Speaks podcast. Now, this is a podcast where topics involving law enforcement are discussed while offering real and transparent answers. Now, we are not trying to change the world, but just change one heart at a time. Here's your host, K-Sam.
Appreciate my boy Def for that intro as always. What's up, my people? Welcome back to another episode of K-Sam Speaks podcast. On today's episode, I want to talk about a perspective shift, a shift in someone's perspective. And I'll give you the backstory, but before we get started, as always, I want to give you all an update on the numbers. We are now 5 months into the year of 2024. And as of May 31st of 2024, we have a total of 164 officers that were shot in the line of duty, with 22 of those 164 officers being killed by gunfire. Also, there were 41 officers shot in 32 separate ambush-style attacks, which is, that number is also starting to increase. And then going into the suicide numbers, as I always do, 44 officers committed suicide so far in the year of 2024, and 7 firefighters have committed suicide in the year of 2024. But man, they have some great organizations that's out there that's actually on the forefront of combating the suicide numbers for first responders in general. But again, the problem is, as first responders, we know we have these resources and we have access to all these resources. We just choose not to tap into it. And that's what's the most heartbreaking thing about the whole situation of first responder in general committing suicide is sometimes we just too weak or we cannot overcome our own personal battles, which is why you just never know what somebody is going through. But as always, I just want to start off the episode with those facts. But before we get started, man, check out the polo shirt. We got some merch, baby. Shout out to my girl Bree. Queen Bee Customs out of Lafayette, Louisiana. Y'all tap into her social media. At the bottom of the screen, I'm gonna drop her little Instagram tag on there. And man, y'all tap in and grab y'all some of this merch. Y'all see, I got the blue with the gold, baby. Shoot, with the gold chain. Come on, gold chain, shorty. I'm gonna quit playing, but man, let's dive right into it. So a couple of weeks ago, I had this gentleman that I know from church that I finally convinced to come do a ride along. We always talked about it. Then finally I convinced him, just come ride with me. So he did. It was a Friday afternoon. He came for about 4 hours. And even though it was not a very eventful day or a couple hours that he rode with me, he was still able to get some good insight on the things that we deal with, the type of calls that we get. Obviously, you got to hear the dispatch calls that was being dispatched across the city to myself and other officers. I explain the reason why we do things as police officers that your average citizen may look at and say, like, oh, that's too much, that's too aggressive, or why they have to do that, why they have so many officers on the traffic stop for one person. And just explaining to him that in law enforcement, especially in today's law enforcement, we don't just handle criminal activities. We handle a lot of civil stuff, which we shouldn't be handling. A lot of stuff that's just not police matters. Let me just cover with that. So after the ride along, we briefly talked, and then I texted him and asked him to send me a message where it was just him explaining if that ride along changed his perspective on law enforcement and what he got from it. So I'm gonna read you directly his text message that he sent me. I offered for him to join this episode so I could have a special guest and get somebody on camera with me, but he declined to show his face. When he see it, he go get a kick out of that. So obviously, he declined to show his face, and I'm going to just leave his name out of it also because that's not important. So here's the recap. And he texted me this probably about a week after the ride along. So he had some time to sit down and analyze and think about the whole experience. So he said his ride along, well, I'm going to read it just as he typed it. My ride along with Officer Sam was an eye opening experience. For 4 hours, I gained a small snapshot of an a patrol officer's life, which, though uneventful that day, offered profound insights. Before the ride along, I had certain preconceived notions about police work, but my perspective shifted afterward. Listening to the various calls, I realized that a policeman's day involves much more than handling criminal activities. Officers often act as counselors for families dealing with mental health issues. They are peacemakers ensuring that no one is harmed. They also take on counseling roles, which seem beyond their typical scope, yet is an essential part of their duties. I also learned why multiple officers are needed for a single vehicle stop. The rationale behind this practice is related to coverage and security, ensuring the safety of both the officers and the individuals involved. Overall, I came to understand that the profession of being a policeman extends far beyond safeguarding the public from criminal behavior. Officers often serve as mediators in a variety of situations, making them jacks of all trades in maintaining peace and order in the community. So there y'all have it. Reason why I wanted to make this an episode is because before I started my video and I just had audio, I said it before and multiple times that citizens should be engaged in law enforcement in their community. Time and time again, it's been law enforcement take criticism over their actions, things that people see on social media, people see on body cam. But the problem is the average citizen don't truly understand the depths of law enforcement. Again, when you hear the title law enforcement, automatically you think about criminal behavior. But as this subject said, it goes far beyond of safeguarding criminal behavior. Jacks of all trades. Again, I said that before. We wear multiple hats. And throughout the shift, you may go from a domestic where, say, husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, so now you're acting as a relationship counselor. Then you may go do a traffic stop. Then from there, you may go on a dead person call where now dealing with the grieving family. Then from there, you may go to a shoplifter call. Then you may go to a motorist assist where somebody's stranded on the roadway. So now you gotta act like you gotta act like a mechanic. Uh, or you just deal with other nonsense calls. And I have a nonsense call I'm gonna tell y'all here shortly that still blows my mind on why somebody would call the police about this situation. Uh, but time and time again, I promote people to engage with a law enforcement officer. Like me, when I'm working, one of my spots is the racetrack. If you're looking for me, 9 times out of 10, if I'm not on the call, I'm at the racetrack, and that's my spot. And I love being there because I see so many different people coming in and out the store, um, and I create dialogue with these people. Randomly today, a guy I saw in the racetrack multiple times. We had a conversation. I'm walking out the gym. He's walking in the gym, and we recognize each other. But you don't get those type of interactions by sitting in your patrol car all day or riding around your patrol car just handling your calls and stuff like that. So again, this is for the police, don't be afraid to engage and interact with the community. And that's how you get to get your information and get people comfortable enough to talk to you and want to engage and talk to you. So for the citizens, about I'm gonna just go on a limb and say every police department has a ride along program where if you live in the city, you could sign up to do a ride along with an officer, whether it's day, night, a couple hours like this guy done with me, or the whole 12-hour shift. But what that does is it puts you in the front seat with us, um, and you get to hear and experience the type of calls that we go on. I love ride alongs. I love people riding with me because I like educating and explaining the ins and outs of what we do and why we do, and some things that may not make sense to them. Well, hopefully I could shed some light and give them an explanation. But then also I like to show them just the dangers that we deal with. So for example, when people get in my car, I give them I give them like a little safety warning. It was like, hey, I can't control for the most part what may happen, but if stuff gets real and shots being fired, somebody starts shooting at me, at my car, or whatever, all I can do is tell you to duck, pray, but get out, run. I don't know, but you gotta fend for yourself. And that's something that's on the form that they have to acknowledge the dangers and understanding the safety of a ride along. Now I want to just put them in some ridiculous situations just try to prove a point to show how dangerous the job is. But that's the reality of what I deal with. And like I explained to him, say, hey man, you right here in the front seat with me, so you can see what I deal with. Hopefully we don't have that situation happen, but most people don't really think that's reality, how quick that could happen to us as a law enforcement officer. So I explained all that, and it gives me great joy to read what he texts me and to see how just in 4 hours I was able to change his perspective and change his mind on some aspects of law enforcement. And that goes back to my motto: not trying to change the entire world, but if I can change the heart of one person at a time, I think I'm doing good. So now I change his perspective. So now when he's going to encounter somebody that may have some negative insight towards law enforcement or maybe not agree with the situation with law enforcement, now he has been educated to go and pass what he learned and what he experienced to the next person. And then it's just a trickle effect after that. And that's my goal. That's my goal with this whole podcast, man. I had somebody talk to me about I need special guests on my episodes so I can go viral and this and this, and I need a controversial special guest. And man, honestly, I'm not here to go viral. I'm not here to be famous and stuff like that. I just feel like this is my calling, and this is what I can do to help out law enforcement and to help out the community. This is another aspect of how I can serve by educating. And it's just as real and transparent as it is right here. But man, go and ask questions, y'all. Like just simple questions. Hey, like an example of what we talked about, which is what he said about the multiple officers. What he said. So he learned why multiple officers are needed for a single vehicle stop. And how he learned that the practice is for coverage and security, ensuring the safety of both the officers and the individuals involved. So what he's talking about with that is he asks the question, hey, why on a traffic stop you have more than two officers, or some traffic stops you may see three, four officers? And I explained to him the reason why, and it's no secret, and I want the the public to know this because it takes down the anxiety when they see multiple officers, whether you directly involved in the situation where you have multiple officers around you, or whether it's somebody that you know, or whether you just passing by a scene and you think that's just overly aggressive. So here we go. In most cases, again, most cases, now it's not for every police department across the country. So I'm just saying most cases, Here's why you have what you have. So you have the initial officer who makes the traffic stop. So that's the primary officer. Then you have a backup officer who is watching that officer's back and is there to assist that officer in whatever they may need. So let's say you get a third officer, because while working gets pretty slow, especially at nighttime. So easily you can see 4 or 5 officers on one traffic stop at nighttime because it's just that slow. And whatever, like me, I tell people, so I'm bored, I'm just going to be nosy. Don't even mind me, like act like I'm not even here. So you may have, let's say, the third officer who comes up. Well, now the third officer is not even really involved in the traffic stop. The third officer is watching everybody else's back, make sure nobody don't walk up on the traffic stop who's not involved or who may try to get involved. They could stop that. And let's say you add a fourth and fifth officer. So everybody after that just has a role. So now you have, let's say you have to search a car or you have to start detaining people or arrest people. Well, now you have more than one officer that could help do different aspects of what's going into this traffic stop. So another good thing about having multiple people on the traffic stop is about a numbers game, honestly. So studies show that suspects who has made up their mind already to fight an officer, to get away, or to try to hurt an officer is more than likely to do it in a one-on-one situation because they feel that they have pretty good odds. I guess depends on how that officer looks in physical characteristics. So then those odds come down if you add another officer to that equation. So now you got a 2v1, 2 versus 1. Most people would kind of hesitate to be like, can I take on 2 of them? Probably not. But then you have that very few percentage that still feels like I could take 2 of them. So then you add 3 and 4. So I don't think one individual person will try to fight 4 or 5 officers, like literally like fight to try to like hurt them or get away. Or let's not even talk about fighting. Let's just talk about, gunfire, shooting. The chances of a gun battle in a 1 versus 1 gun battle, they're going to take that all day. But then you add 2 or 3 versus just 1, then that lessens their chance of something bad happening. So overall, we're not trying to scare people by adding more officers and intimidating them to get what we want. It's just a safety thing, man. And it's just to ensure that officers are safe and the person that we're dealing with are safe. And that's just that. So yeah, I mean, I would like to have more people on my side versus the chance of me getting in a 1 versus 1 situation. So I explained that to him, and now he understands why that may be in most cases. I ain't say every time, but like my department, we have I'm gonna say a rule. I ain't call it really a policy, but we have a rule where if we going to arrest somebody that's on a traffic stop, before we take anybody out of a car, we have to have a backup officer there. Now here in Texas, when we stop somebody, we walk up to the car. In Louisiana, when we done a traffic stop, we call people out of the car to come to our car. Benefits, pros and cons from both sides of it, but that's just, again, another example to show you how different law enforcement is across the board. So I just want to bring that up just to show how asking questions, getting involved into police department, understanding the ins and outs of an officer's perspective, how that could just shift your perspective, and that could change your mind and your thoughts. So when you see this incident, instead of just jumping to an emotional decision, now you could take a step back and look at it from a different lens. May not change your the outcome that you feel about it, but at least you have a better understanding, and makes you ask questions to fill in some blanks and some gaps before you just jump straight to your emotional decision of why this happened and what you saw. So that's it about that. Another issue I want to talk to y'all about is we're gonna go down to the city of Denver, Colorado. This came out in 2014, Lord, April of 2024, and this is a story about Denver cutting funds for police to address the migrant influx in the city. So the mayor of Denver is planning to cut $45 million from the city agencies, including the police and the fire department, to help fund a program to deal with the recent influx of migrants. $45 million. I think of that 45, $8 to $10 million are coming from the police. So they are taking about $90 million to respond to this newcomer crisis, where they're going to create a program to provide long-term sustainable solution to help people that's migrating into the city of Denver. So under the plan, the Denver Police Department budget will be cut by approximately 1.9%. So about 2%, or $8.4 million. Why is this important, you may ask? Well, when you start taking money from police department, that's money that they use to hire people. That's money that they use to pay for training. It's money that they use to buy new equipment, and so on and so forth. So going back to when I think it was about George Floyd, when this whole defund the police movement happened in Minnesota, and they actually done it, like got rid of the I think it was the Minnesota, I think it was the Minnesota or Minneapolis, one of the two. Anyway, they got rid of the city police department, and that caused chaos. So, like for right here in Denver, now $8.4 million. Now it's going to affect not hiring any new recruits for positions that are currently open. Law enforcement across the country are shorthanded. We shorthanded. The fire department budget will see a $2.5 million reduction, which is less than 1%. So, of course, as it should, it sparked some outrage. And the mayor's spokesman said that the adjustment to the Denver Police Department budget was carefully crafted with safety leaders and the mayor to ensure there would be no impact to the department's public services. So what they said essentially is, hey, it's not going to affect y'all because y'all still have the same number of officers. Y'all still have everything y'all have right now. Y'all just won't be able to hire nobody else. So y'all gonna have to do what y'all do with what y'all got. And to say that Denver is defunding the police is a willful mischaracterization of the budget adjustments, which actually just delays the purchase of new furniture and shifts the funding source for one candidate class. And that's what the spokesman said. And then she said, in fact, the mayor has invested millions to add 167 new police recruits to the force in 2024. Now, Denver could hire 167 new officers in 1 year. That's pretty impressive. Which he will continue to invest in public safety to ensure that every citizen is safe in the city of Denver. So here's my issue with this, and it's not even all about they taking money from the police to help out these migrants. Across the country, there's a homeless problem in the whole United States. Across the country, there's a hunger problem across the United States. Across the country, there's all these issues. $90 million could solve so many people's problems, and we're giving it to the immigrants. What about your own people? Your legal U.S. citizens in your state, in your country, in your city, but you're not doing nothing for them. You know, everybody complain about the homelessness, and just the country. You know, Joe Biden is sending millions and billions of dollars across overseas to help them with their issues and their wars. And our country is just in shambles right now. And that's all I'm gonna say about that, because I'm not one to get all into the politics, and this is not what my podcast is about. It's definitely not talking about politics. But I just want to spotlight that just to show how those budget cuts have an effect on the department. And then people will wonder why it's taking so long for law enforcement to respond. Because you don't have officers. Why we can't hire new officers? Because we don't have the money to do so. Well, officers need more training on dealing with mental health. Well, I'm sorry, but we don't have the budget to do so. Would you think that's an acceptable answer? If you were told that, hey, we can't send officers to your loved one's mental health crisis because we don't have no officers. Or look, these community services programs that we have, where we hire these civilians to come and be part of our mental health programs. Sorry, we don't have the money to hire these people. But ladies and gentlemen, that is all for this episode. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching, man. Y'all share, like, subscribe. Please hit the bell. That's something new I gotta start saying. Hit the little bell on that YouTube so y'all get notified when a new episode or some new content is put out. But as always, before I leave y'all, let me leave y'all with some encouragement words of the day. Here we go. Some people will judge you for changing. Others will celebrate you for growing. Choose your circle wisely. Some people will judge you for changing. Others will celebrate you for growing. Choose your circle wisely. That is all, ladies and gentlemen, man. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a blessed day.